Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Bolt City Podcast. Dave Palais, Josh Palais, Mario Heron getting ready for, again, the Chargers-Knicks game coming up against the Jets, which should be extremely exciting on Monday night because you're coming off a win. I don't know about you guys, but I'm still feeling good from the Sunday night game against the Bears. But things changed inside the division all of a sudden for the Chargers and for everybody else inside the division. Just when it was fun to laugh at the Raiders, all of a sudden the Raiders realized, hey, this isn't working. And they decided to fire a bunch of people, including their head coach and their general manager. And so obviously the Raiders very upset about the way things went on Monday night, guys, against the Lions. They should have been very upset the way things were going for a while now, especially the game against the Steelers. If you guys recall that, I think in week 3. But for the Raiders, enough's enough, and they put an end to it. And we've at times on this show said, hey, when is enough when things aren't going well? Was this the right move by the Raiders, Josh? And at the same time, what does it mean for the division and the Raiders turning things around?
Yeah, it was the right move. Right when you heard at the beginning of the season or before the season even started that Davante Adams was pissed off and Max Crosby and Josh Jacobs, everybody that's a good player on that team was upset with the GM and the head coach. Okay. Yeah. And I'm watching the show Winning Time with Magic Johnson, who they picked over the coach, Paul Westhead, because it's Magic Johnson. You got Davante Adams that says, I'm not happy. So we can get another coach that there's better than, out there. There's a lot better than him.
Yep.
Or you can get me out of here. And they chose Davante Adams and all the players on the team that make a difference. So I think it was the right decision 100%.
You can't get your ass kicked by the second worst team in the NFL and expect to be out of job in 2 weeks. Like, you just can't expect that. The Raiders were on a track to be terrible. And they're like, it's not a bad team. Like I said, they have Davante Adams, they have Max Crosby. Like, they don't have a crappy roster. Josh Jacobs is a very talented player. But you had to cut your ties and know when you lost, and know when to fold them, know when to hold them, know when to poke them. I don't know. Like, you gotta know when to do that. I think Mark Davis
to run. It's not poke them.
Oh, yeah,
no one to run.
Yeah, hey, come on.
That.
All right, just go with it, Dave. Yeah, don't grammar this up. All right, but yeah, I think they did a good job of just only when to get out of a sticky situation. I think it was just not going anywhere with McDaniels. It was only going to get worse, not better. I think if you see every one of Davante Adams' press conferences, they're more depressing than the last one and more sad. So it was only going to go downhill from here. And if you're a Raider fan, I feel like you kind of got to be happy, right? And maybe a little bit excited. Like, this is a restart. Let's see what happens.
Anything's better than what they were doing. As you guys are right. None of it was working. And I was one of those guys that when Josh McDaniels got the job, I thought, boy, this is good news for the Raiders. He had to learn a lot from what happened in Denver. He went back to New England, won more championships. He had to learn of what did I do wrong and pay more attention to maybe what Bill Belichick was doing that was successful. Let's be honest. The Bill Belichick way only works for Bill Belichick, right? It doesn't work for any of his assistant coaches. There's not one assistant coach that's ever gone on to have success. And the general manager, again, came from New England, and he can't draft. In New England, what is it that they do? They can't draft either. So with Josh McDaniels, and before anybody writes me and says what about Mike Vrabel? Vrabel was a player. Okay, so it's a little bit different. But the coaches that coach for Bill Belichick go on and they fail. It happens all the time. So for the Raiders to put up with Josh McDaniels, guys, I was one of those going, they're going to be okay. And then you realize, you know what? They aren't going to be okay. Their identity is gone. When you think about Raider football, whether you hate them or not, you think about an opposing team, a team that maybe is not worried about a bunch of penalties because they're trying to win the intimidation game in the long run. They don't want guys to say, I'm comfortable through all my routes. I'm going to sit there, and of course, there's going to be a couple late hits, and there might be a face mask here and there. But in the long run, you're going to be scared when you play the Raiders. When I watched the Raider game against the Lions on Monday night, it was strange because it felt like for one of the first times that even though the Raiders sucked for the last 20 years, the Raiders kind of still had a little Raider in them. It felt like they almost played scared and tentative. And so when I look at Davante Adams, and all three of us agree, he's one of the best wide receivers in the league still. He doesn't have a quarterback who can get him the ball. They don't focus on getting him the ball. And what you don't want is you don't want Davante Adams, a guy who is as good as he is, turning into what Randy Moss was. And when Randy Moss was on the Raiders, there were times he didn't even go out for his routes. Like dude, it was like one step off the line. Like, dude, I'm not even going to fake it. The ball's not coming my way. And you're going, oh my God, dude, Randy Moss has completely mailed it in. And he did. But then he went to New England in a winning atmosphere, and Randy Moss had arguably the best year of his career. And so you don't want to lose the locker room. And I think that's what Mark Davis finally saw and what he heard is that, you know what, we've lost the locker room. We've lost it through Davante Adams. Josh Jacobs already has 1 foot out the door. I can't afford to have Max Crosby throw in the towel. And that looks like where he was about at where what do you have left? So it took a while. The reason we're starting the show off, we understand it's a Charger show with the Raiders. This is inside your division. It's fun beating the hell out of the Raiders while you can. But, usually with most teams, it's a matter of time before they rebound. We all expect the Broncos at one point, they're going to rebound. But for the Raiders, what does it take? And can their new guy, and Josh, I'll ask you, Antonio Pierce coming in, is he the right guy to basically bring the locker room back together? And is at the same time, is he a guy now who's saying, look, this might be my only chance to ever be a head coach. I got to show what I can do the second half of the season.
I think if you're going to hire somebody mid-season, you got to bring in somebody that's closer to the players, and they did a good job of bringing in a former player like Antonio Pierce. I guess Jeff Saturday wasn't available to fill in this time. Antonio Pierce was there, which is really good. Just to talk about Josh McDaniels real quick, there's coaches and there's coordinators. We talk about all the time. Unfortunately, Brandon Staley is a coordinator. He's not really a head coach, and I think that's the situation the Raiders have. Josh McDaniels, I'd be surprised if he gets another head coaching opportunity. I think the Raiders screwed this up a year and a half ago when they had Rich Bisaccia on the team, who did a great job. And the players on the team said, we want Rich, and they went in a different direction. I think they also screwed up when they got rid of Derek Carr and brought in Jimmy G. Jimmy G, $72.5 million. That's not worth it to me. And I understand he's had success in the past with winning. He's also had great defenses with the Patriots and the 49ers. That is not the case with the Raiders. You can't have a guy that doesn't get past 20 points as your quarterback for the Raiders when you have a terrible defense. I think Antonio Pierce is a good hire. I don't think the Raiders are going to compete this year. Even if the Raiders do well the rest of the season, they're not a playoff team. I think everybody that's a Raider fan is looking at the 2024 draft.
Yeah, they can't wait for draft night. They'll be the biggest fans going nuts the whole freaking time, thinking that they're going to get someone really, really good, and they're probably going to blow it, or at least I hope they blow it. I'm with you. I don't know why they didn't just hire Rich after their little playoff run stint they had, when they had like that team had fire, and that team like had like a culture, had like an attitude to them. And then suddenly they just like let him walk, and I'm like, why would you do that? Why don't you just ride with that energy and say you get a coach that in his first stint as a head coach, he was really good for the first 4 games, and then they found out that he was stealing signs, stealing signals, and then suddenly that goes away, and then he sucks. And he tries to be Bill Belichick, but like you said, Dave, everyone that tries to be Bill Belichick doesn't end up being Bill Belichick. They end up being an idiot. They end up looking like a dumbass. So what are you gonna do? Try not to be him. Antonio Pierce seems like a guy that's a fiery coach, a kind of rah-rah type of coach. I feel like those coaches, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I feel like they would probably do the best in situations like these, because those are the guys that are going to rally behind. It's like they're always the what the hell do we have to lose type of guys. So like, wouldn't you kind of want that in a situation here, Dave? If you're the Raiders, like, yeah, let's get the rah-rah guy. Like, let's get the guy that everyone freaking likes and just ride this season out, and let's just see what the freaking happens.
In this situation, 100%. They got the right guy because you got a guy that wore the uniform. You know what I mean? It's not some guy who never played. It's a guy who did play, and he played on high-quality teams. At the same time, he knows what it's like when it's week 12 of the season and what a guy's body feels like, and when you need maybe to go a little bit easier in practice. You can relate to what the players are going through. I don't know Antonio Pierce, and I don't know what goes on in the Raider locker room, but I imagine Mark Davis, before he made this move, he talked to Crosby, he talked to Davante Adams, he talked to Josh Jacobs, he talked to the big name guys that Josh mentioned, and he said, who do you want? Like, on this staff, we aren't bringing in somebody off the street. There has to be somebody on the staff right now. Who do you want to lead this team the rest of the year? And I bet you the players chose him. This is the way it went down. Now, people said, why didn't you pick your defensive coordinator or somebody else to be your coach? Just like when they brought Bisaccia in, he was a special teams guy. So, I mean, how much work goes into special teams? You can still do your job and then be the head coach. You could be the linebackers coach and still be the head coach. If you're a coordinator and you come in the middle of the year, it's tough. I mean, let's be honest. The Raiders this week are going to run Josh McDaniels' plays. They aren't putting a whole new playbook in a few days. They're going to run his plays probably in a different order, and they're going with a new quarterback, right? Garoppolo, first thing they did was they benched him. They're going, your guy AOC, Mario. And so for the Raiders, they're showing this is a new leaf. And I don't even know, I'll be honest with you, I think in a lot of times teams play to fan bases. I don't think the Raiders even playing to their fan base. I think they're playing to the locker room, because right now the reputation amongst the players and throughout the NFL is that the Raiders franchise is a complete disaster. And it is.
It is a complete disaster. And if we're going to keep talking about the division, I don't think Sean Payton is as bad as I said he was a couple weeks ago. I'll take that back. The Broncos, to me, are a team that the Chargers should be concerned about. They're the only team in the division, I believe, that has a win streak, right? The Broncos have a 2-game win streak, Chiefs just lost. Chargers have a 1-game win streak, if you will. So I think the Broncos and the Raiders are going in 2 totally different directions. Mauro, do you think the Broncos can be a threat to the Chargers? I talked about it last show. Russell Wilson's stats compared to Patrick Mahomes are almost even.
Like, I think it's just more of watch out for them at home. I think that's just where I'm at with them. Like, I'm not comfortable enough to go, yeah, like, I have confidence in them as a contender in the division, as someone that Chargers should watch out for. For me, it's just when it's at Mile High, be ready to play. And then if it's outside of the Indiana Hoosiers right now at the NFL, you're at their stadium, you better watch out for them. You better watch out. It's going to be pretty hard to play in Mile High and Assembly Hall. It's going to be hard to play. You're probably not going to win. Outside of it, hey, I'm comfortable. I'm going to feel fine. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. That's kind of where I'm at with the Broncos. Plus, I mean, I know Herbert struggled a lot in the fourth quarter this year. I still trust him in the fourth quarter versus Russell Wilson. Just off what we've seen from Russell Wilson the past year and a half, I'd still trust Justin Herbert over that. That being said, week 17 at Denver, that seems like a great spot, Dave, for them to really, really spoil a playoff spot for us.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't disagree with that. I mean, Sean Payton didn't become dumb overnight. Obviously, the roster he has isn't the roster that's fitting for him right now and for that team. The Russell Wilson stats, Josh, you just threw out there are almost unbelievable, right? At the same time, let's be honest, not saying like the Chiefs are losing a bunch of games, but teams get up for the Chiefs, right? No one's taken their half-ass week against the Chiefs. They're giving everything they have, knowing, hey, these are the world champions. Against the Denver Broncos, what happened the other day, that's not going to happen again. The Chiefs aren't going to sit there and slip up again. It's not going to be a slip-up game with the Broncos. And I think it's one of those, if the Broncos the rest of the year, even if you're the Chargers, you're going, dude, this team will punch you right in the face if you aren't careful. That's one of those where you got back on the airplane for KC. You're like, how the hell did that just happen? And that shouldn't happen. And looking back at it, they're going to say the same thing. And if it comes down to home field advantage in the AFC off of that one game, it's going to be one the Chiefs are going to regret. But roster-wise, we always say, what is the difference with the Chiefs? The Chiefs' difference is their tight end and their quarterback. Well, all of a sudden, the quarterback's numbers aren't exactly what you thought they were going to be. Let's also give Patrick Mahomes a little bit of a pass in that last game. The guy had the flu. I mean, a lot of guys might not even have played. He had the flu.
Michael Jordan had the flu. What happened there?
He was freaking great.
Yeah.
Yeah, just different. This is interesting. I know we're about 9 weeks into the year. This week coming up will be week 9. Are you guys aware that every team in the AFC is within 3 games of each other besides the New England Patriots? Every team has at least 3 wins besides the New England Patriots. That's amazing. Charger fans shouldn't count out the playoffs. I know people are really upset that the Chargers didn't score a touchdown in the second half. We're going to talk about that. But everybody's in it except for the Patriots. I think it's something that's very interesting going forward. The Broncos, I don't think, are a true threat yet. Like Mario said, they are just different at home. But the Chargers, to me, if they win this game in New York, they can really start a win streak and get going in the right direction where they can make the playoffs. And the Chiefs play in Germany this week against the Dolphins, which could be an L. Chargers could be 2 games behind the Chiefs, and we play them one more time, Mario. I think the Chargers' chances could be pretty good after this week.
Key thing about that, too, the Dolphins left for that on like Monday, and then Chiefs are leaving later. So just like I know that's people are going to hear that and go, okay. Yeah, no, it's an important fact to know.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. That is interesting. Number one, I didn't realize even until last week there was a game in Germany. Like I don't know how I missed that all of a sudden the Chiefs and Dolphins are playing in Germany. I mean, first of all, if you're a Dolphins fan, you'd go, I sure as hell would like to see this game in Miami. And if you're a Chiefs fan, I sure as hell would like to see that game in Kansas City. The NFL, it's all marketing. And Josh, going back to what you said about the parity of the NFL, that's always their goal. When the NFL sets a schedule out, their goal used to always be, when it was 16-game season, 8-8. Everybody finishes 8-8. Just and that's always the way things rebound. That's why, going back to the Raiders, that's what's so unique, that you could suck for 20 years. Like, it shouldn't happen. The NFL's not built that way. The way the draft is set up, it's not a snake draft. You know what I mean? It's you get to pick right at the beginning of every round, every time. They're trying to fix your team as fast as you can. You got to make a lot of bad decisions to screw this thing up. And so it's interesting where the parity is. At the same time, if you're an NFL fan, you got to love it. If you're a gambler, it makes it even harder on you. But at the same time, this is what the NFL is always about. This is why it's the best league out there. Yeah,
it's the best league out there. And I scratched my head a few times this week, Mario, when I'm looking around the league to what's going on. The Bears acquired Montez Sweat. Last time I checked, the Bears have 2 picks in the top 5. I don't understand why the hell you'd acquire Montez Sweat for a second-round pick when you're trying to reboot. And the NFL did not have a team on a bye week in the middle of the season. Can somebody explain that to me too? You got week 8 and not one team has a bye. Which one of those is more weird, Mario?
I'm trying not to be surprised by the Bears anymore. I'm really not. I'm trying to just lower the expectations. Like, it's just a group full of idiots and people playing grab ass and just not really knowing what's going on. I'll start with the Sweat thing. Look, this isn't the Mac trade where like your team just went up a couple points. Your defense was set. There's offense in place. No, this was a trade that we suck. We're not going to be very good. We can't compete for the division. The Lions have the divisions. Case in point, it's over. Packers suck. So unless you just want to beat the Packers and split with the Packers, like, congratulations. Cousins going out does not give you a green light and making it into the playoffs, nor does adding Sweat go, all right, our cultures change, our teams change. You still don't have a pass rush. Like, you still don't. Sweat has never had double-digit sack season. Yes, he's at 6.5 sacks right now, and he's on pace to, but I imagine that he's probably going to get more double teams with the Bears' defensive line than the Commanders' defensive line. Like you said, they're going to have two picks in the top 5. I don't understand why you just continue to tank. Fields isn't it. Might as well just sell the whole thing. The thing that I'm happy they did is kept Jalen Johnson, because if they would have sold him off, I'd go, okay, then you just got your edge rusher and corner who are cornerstones to start a franchise, and then you just shipped one of them away. That doesn't make any sense. They're going to keep him. That being said, extension still has to come. Either way, they're a trash organization, and they're a joke if they think they can compete in that division. Bears rent, done. The week 8 thing, I thought the NFL might have been drunk, and I thought I was drunk for realizing that there's no teams on a bye. Like, that was a good double take when I had to do rundowns for BetMGM game day. I was like double checking multiple times. Like, there's no buys this week. Like, I had to do so many double checks that I thought, all right, I need to either relax on the booze, maybe like do something like to change my brain and help my brain a little bit. But it was weird, Dave. It was very, very weird. A fan of it, but just like, let me know next time.
Okay, so in Chicago, because you're in Chicago, I'm curious about this trade. Number one, were you surprised the Bears acquired anybody? 2, were you surprised it was a second-round pick?
Not surprised by a second-round pick just because of, like I said, like his numbers. Like, that wasn't that surprising. I think a lot of people have PTSD of the Claypool thing. I think a lot of people have PTSD of that. They're like, oh my God, like, we can't just trade a second. It's pretty much a first. It is a first. For a guy that's just not going to be very good for us. Daniel Jeremiah said this, and then Joe Ostrowski, shout out to Joe Ostrowski, said this, and I'm going to copy it. So quote the quote. The Bears are 10 guys away from being 10 guys away. And I thought that's a very good statement about the Bears. So, like, getting him didn't, like, you're not like, we're a step away. No, you're freaking light years away.
You watched the Bears, Mario, against the Chargers beside the first play to Darnell Mooney, and you're thinking, this team sucks. As a Charger fan, we're not the best team. You watch this team, you go, this team actually really sucks. Justin Fields with his sunglasses on, we didn't talk about it last show, is the biggest what the F move ever. Like, people already say you can't see, and then you have sunglasses on like you actually can't see. I mean, it's just the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. I'm not a fan of that at all. Kyler Murray saying this week, Mario, that he's excited to play. Buddy, you guys got the number 1 pick. You're on your way out. There's so many things I see, Mario, across the league that just make me laugh. Yeah. People taking the terrible towels away from the fans in Pittsburgh. I love the NFL, man. It's just the best thing ever. But Justin Fields with his sunglasses on, we didn't bring it up last show, is still hilarious to me. The Bears, man, not even close. Not even close. Hopefully they get better. I think the NFL is better when the big cities have good teams. I also want to address, I know we're going to do this at the end of the show, Mario, but I want to bring up the YouTube comment of the day, okay? And it comes from Justin Creel, and I'm going to get the screenshot out because I can't see. About 5 people commented.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, how badly does the NFL want Caleb Williams in Chicago, by the way? They need that bad.
They do.
You know?
They want it so bad.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Caleb Williams. We could talk about that too. All right. It comes from John Creel, John Creel, 5048. He said, 6 second half points, LOL. Offense still can't do anything in the second half. They fix nothing. Still the same problem they had all last year. About 5 or 6 people commented that in the comments. Yeah. This is the reason we didn't address the Chargers not scoring a touchdown in the second half. 24-hour rule. As a fan, I get the 24-hour rule. I get to be happy for 24 hours, and then we can talk about our problems later. So this is us talking about our problems. It is a big issue. I'm not going to ignore it like we don't have a problem. We've had this problem, like John said, for a while. Mario, if you can't score in the second half, touchdowns, forget the field goals. If you can't score touchdowns in the second half, you're not a contender. Why can't the Chargers score in the second half? Is it a coaching thing? Is it a players thing? Is it both? Who do you put this on?
Both. I think it's a both thing. It's going into locker room being pretty complacent. And I think it's also the factor of the coaching of, hey, we don't need to do anymore. Let's rest our guys. Let's relax. We got the W. Let's just play the rest of the game. And the Chargers in the second half, they played the rest of the game not to lose, not to win. So they play, all right, let's just not lose this. Let's not do this. And then you end up blowing a lead to the Jaguars in the playoffs and shoot your chances. If Dave Pally texts you saying we're going to the Super Bowl, book it now. So that's just what happened. I think it's definitely a coaching thing. I think it's a culture and a coaching thing where you hit halftime, you go, hey, we have a 14-point lead. We got it. We got this thing sealed up.
I think it was 17-point lead, wasn't it?
Yeah.
17-point lead. Okay.
Also to that point, though, in NFL especially, and college football a little bit, when there are blowouts, the blowouts usually happen in the first half. Like, you look at when Ravens won 38-6. I'm not defending the Chargers in any way, but like the Ravens put up 28 points in the first half. Second half, they put up 10. Like it does slow down in the second half. Like in a lot of blowout games, it does do that. It's fast early and then tends to slow down. So it's not a very uncommon only Charger thing that happens. It does happen, but there's a recurring problem of Chargers not being able to score in the second half.
No, it's very frustrating because this is what the Chargers do. I mean, you guys are right. It's been like this forever. So I looked at it a little bit different this time, and maybe I'm crazy, but I kind of looked at it as you have a 17-point lead. The Bears aren't the kind of team that rallies and puts a ton of points on the board. They aren't a team with, let's say, Aaron Rodgers on it, where you got to go, man, the 17-point lead's now down to 7. It's not what the Chicago Bears are. So I kind of felt like they did take their foot off the gas. Mario, you're right, and it's my biggest pet peeve in all of sports. It doesn't matter what level. When people play, instead of playing to win, they play not to lose, and that's where the Chargers were in that mode. And look, in a physical game, you can't do that exactly. That's how guys get hurt. When guys don't give 100%, that's when injuries usually happen. So you're going, well, how collectively did every guy on the roster not seem to do their job? It wasn't like, you ever notice in basketball how one team will have a ton of fouls, and it looks like the officials look up at that scoreboard and go, man, the Bulls have 50 fouls and the Lakers have 2, and then they do their best to even it out. It wasn't like there were a ton of penalties that evened it out, that the Chargers all of a sudden were getting penalized to help the Bears out. It wasn't that kind of game. But the Chargers, again, come playoff time, we always say, if you're trying to win a championship, you got to be good in every facet of the game. And that includes being a great second half team, a good third quarter team. You establish your will on the other team, and the Chargers don't do that. And we saw that's what ended their season a year ago. That's why I understand the frustration of what people are saying on YouTube. As a fan, I never felt like the game was in jeopardy once they had that big lead. But at the same time, I would have liked to have seen one of those lopsided. I know you aren't going to get a Dolphins-Broncos type game, but I would like to have seen it even worse. I would like to have seen the Chargers step on it and more explosive plays is what I'm saying.
So the Chargers can get away with that this week with the Jets. If they're up 17 points, they're probably going to win because that Jets offense isn't very good. You're not going to get away with it against the Lions. You're not going to get away with it against the Ravens. You're not going to get away with it against the Bills, the Chiefs. Those are some of the upcoming games. You got to fix this now. The Chargers play non-aggressive in the second half, especially if they have a lead. And this happens all the time. The Chargers score a decent amount of points in the first quarter or first half, something, like 14 or 17. You're like, okay, we're going to build some momentum in the second half. And then it just completely stops. I just don't understand it, Mario. Why can't you be aggressive the same way in the second half? We're talking about Kyle Shanahan, how everybody kisses his ass for being a great coach. Are you aware if Kyle Shanahan is down by 3 points or more in the fourth quarter, he has lost every single time in his career except for once? I mean, I feel like the Chargers have the same thing. That's amazing. The Chargers have the same thing going on over there. They're just so non-aggressive in the third and fourth quarters. They play scared. And I think a lot of it is coaching. I think most of it is actually coaching, but I think a lot of it is also Justin Herbert, who does not take chances. I mean, the guy does not take a chance until the last drive of the game, where it's all mayhem and he'll end up throwing an interception, his 1 or 2 interceptions of the game. And you think, oh my God, why did we play scared in the third quarter? The Chargers continuously get their ass kicked in the third quarter. Then it's a tight game in the fourth and they won't close it out. It's been the recipe for the Chargers for how long? Ever since I've been a fan. I don't understand how this can be a culture thing. You got to fix it now, or you're going to get your ass kicked forever.
I'd rather have like an attitude of the Woody Hayes quote, "Why'd you go for 2? Because I couldn't go for 3."
Yeah.
Like I'd rather have that. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'd rather have that. I'd rather have my coach go, "You broke the unwritten rule. Yeah, you don't keep putting on them. Up yours and putting them on them. If I want to hang 70, I'm going to hang 70." Like I want that kind of attitude for the Chargers. Why not have that attitude? That's a great attitude to have. And guess what? Players like that.
They do. You know what I like as a fan? I like when the coaches have that uncomfortable handshake at midfield because one coach ran up the scoreboard. That's what I like.
Yeah. Whether maybe they get not a fight, but a very strong, almost altercation. Like I love that. Fans love that. Players love that. That fires you up. Like why not have that?
Well, you can't leave the couch because like I got to see the handshake.
Yeah,
just because you know something's going to happen. What's your problem? You want one coach to say, "What's your problem? What's your deal?" You want that move.
Yeah, you want that.
It's not this.
And it's fun. And then your team's also, it does good for you. You get more fans, get more attention. Because guess what's gonna be talked about Monday morning? Not Dolphins, freaking Chiefs. It's you going, "You guys really put 60 on the Jets, and you had 20 in the fourth quarter. Did you really need that?" Yeah, we did. You know.
Chargers have never had a coach that could kick somebody's ass. I mean, they've never had a coach that looks intimidating. Seriously, like the Chargers need Anthony Lynn is the only coach I can think of that was like in shape, but the Chargers have never had a Mike Vrabel or a Dan Campbell. I would love to see the Chargers hire a motivator type guy that played in the league and Antonio Pierce like guy just to change it up. Philip Rivers, it was the same thing. This thing has happened for so long. I just cannot understand it.
All right, let me ask this question. Do you want a coach that looks like he's like in crazy shape?
Yes.
Because if he is, you go, is that guy putting time in to studying the other team and putting a game plan together? Is the guy working out nonstop?
Dude, look at some of the best coaches in the league. Like Mike Tomlin probably can kick some ass. Dan Campbell, Mike Vrabel, they can definitely kick some ass. They're doing just fine.
Reed's not
kicking ass. They said during the broadcast that Brandon's
kicking ass. That's right.
Have you ever seen the pass kick competition when I was a kid? He kicked ass in that.
It's the best ever.
How
about when Mike Tomlin stood on the sideline on the kickoff return against the Ravens? Like stood on the field and he got a penalty for like being 12 men on the field. Remember that?
Dude, I love that. That's an attitude thing.
Yeah, it was a complete attitude thing.
Yeah. Guys on the Raiders thought Rich Bisaccia was actually in the mafia. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you need a guy like
that's
that.
Awesome. Our guys give boxes of seized candy to the other coach after the game.
Dude,
hey, sorry
I don't
about
know.
That. Here you go.
Yeah. Passing out Halloween candy. I don't know if you remember during the broadcast, but they said that Brandon Staley shaved his beard because the guys on the team like the stubble. I was like, holy crap, dude. This is what we're doing? We got coaches with stubble? This is the angle we're taking? Like, dude, I'm so big on you need a coach that's intimidating to some degree. I will bring up the Joey Bosa throwing the helmet at the feet thing until he gets fired. There's no respect there. You're not doing that to Mike Vrabel or Dan Campbell or Mike Tomlin, guys that are respecting this league. I think the Chargers definitely need a guy like that.
It's interesting. Yeah. It's interesting. That's kind of like going back to what we just said about Antonio Pierce, about having a guy in the locker room like that. D'Amico Ryans is like that with the Texans. He steps in there immediately. You know who the boss is. You know who the boss is right away. It's interesting. I know I have ADD on this, man, but I just want to touch on this real quick. Teams that are trying to win the Super Bowl, the trade deadline that passed, the Chase Young deal going to the Niners, that to me is going to be a big deal. And people go, hold on a second. I don't know if you guys agree or don't agree, but I'm going to go way back in Charger time because I know we have old-time Charger fans that hate to say it are my age that remember this. The Chargers had a guy named Fred Dean. Do you guys know who Fred Dean is? Either one of you? Yeah. Fred Dean was a great pass rusher in the NFL. Played on the Chargers. Chargers let him go to the Niners. He just happens to go there and becomes like the best, the pass rusher of all time during his time with the Niners. And every time the NFL used to be Mario, you run on first, you run on second, you throw on third. And he would come in just on third down and boom, he'd take the quarterback down and they couldn't stop him. And it was like, where was this Fred Dean with the Chargers? And all of a sudden the Niners are wearing multiple Super Bowls because of Fred Dean's defense. Is just insane how good he was. And then you watch Chase Young go to a different environment. The games are more important. The expectations are higher. You have Nick Bosa on the other side. I think the signing by the Niners was huge. That's why I brought his name up to you guys the other day. You guys, both of you, I'm not saying you were wrong, but both of you were quick to say, forget that. And now, just curious, were you saying forget that because of his history of health problems, or forget that the guy's a bust? Because it only took a third-round pick to get him.
If I knew it was going to be a third-round pick, I would have been all for it. But then again, the Chargers have bigger issues like not scoring in the second half than getting Chase Young. Like, you got to fix that problem first. Chase Young is injury-prone. He's a great player. He's injury-prone. I think the 49ers have bigger issues also than just Chase Young getting to the quarterback. Their quarterback, Brock Purdy, has not looked good for 3 straight weeks. Why don't we figure that part out? I think the 49ers are a good team, but they're on a 3-game losing streak.
I just don't like the rental factor. Like, you get him and he's gone. Like, Chargers wouldn't be able to extend him anyways with the cap hell that they're going to be entering into.
That's true.
You won't be able to extend them, so it'd be a rental. That rental goes bad. You just wasted a third-round pick. I'm not saying you find a Chase Young in the third round. You probably don't. But that still just hurts you. I think with the Niners thing, I kind of agree with you, Josh. Like, they have bigger fish to fry. Like, Purdy's just really, really struggled without Trent Williams there. I mean, he's by far the most important player on that team. Like, bar none. I don't care what anyone says. He's not there. That team's not very good. Look how many sacks were given up last game against the Bengals. You tell me that there's anyone more important than him. I think Chase Young is going to really help with Bosa's rest, because it's pretty well documented that Bosa takes a good amount of plays, not off, but just not on the field. And it's due to them trying to make a playoff, them trying to win a Super Bowl. I think Chase Young can really help with that. That being said, he is a rental there. And a third-round pick, yeah, but just the rental thing sticks to me big time. Also, the kind of another question for you guys. Were you guys rattled that the Chiefs did not add a receiver? I was waiting for that all day. And I was like, thank the Lord it didn't happen.
Their guy?
Was that McCole Hardman was their pickup. You're surprised they didn't go with somebody bigger, Mario?
Yeah, like I was like, really? Hopkins didn't get a call?
You don't want another no-name guy?
I mean, yeah, it's just.
I mean, if I'm a Chiefs fan, honestly, it does bother me. Seriously, if I was a Chiefs fan, that would bother me. It's like, what's the deal? Why don't we make minor moves? All these names are too big. Hopkins, Lockett are too big names for the Chiefs. Like, it's weird to me, right? You got the best quarterback going. Weird. Kelsey's 34 years old. You get all these guys that are like B receivers.
B receivers for sure. I mean, that's a compliment to them. I don't even think they're B receivers. True. DeAndre Hopkins, what's the price on DeAndre Hopkins? I wonder what they're going to ask, what they're asking for with the Titans, a second-round pick. Would you give a second-round pick for DeAndre Hopkins? I mean, he looked pretty damn good with Will Levis. DeAndre Hopkins makes the most out of everything. So if you put him with a good quarterback for once in his career, besides the few years he had with Deshaun Watson, what could he do with the Chiefs? I think they should have got him. What do you think, Mario?
No, I don't know. I was just sitting there going, like you say, it's got to be worth a phone call. It got to be worth a conversation. Like, why the hell not? Just see what the bidding price is. And, the reason I mentioned Locke is that's a pretty packed receiver room. Call Seahawks. Just go, just see the price. Just see the price of stuff and see, what it would cost for a pretty viable option. And if you watched the last game against the Broncos, you'd see that they really, really need help. I mean, shoot. Would even doing a phone call to the Giants, I know they just traded for him, but just be like, what for Waller? And go, we have 2 stellar tight ends. Like, I don't know. I'm not saying I'm smart. I'm not saying anything. I'm just
smart.
Happy. No, it just rattled me. I was just really expecting the Chiefs to have some pop off move. But then they're like, okay, like Hardman, okay. That doesn't get you up in the morning. Yeah. It's like, okay.
Lions added a 4th receiver. Yeah, Lions added a 4th receiver to a receiver room that I didn't think was bad to begin with. And they got a tight end that's an absolute stud in Laporta. I like the Lions going for it. I think if you're a team that's competing like the Lions, you definitely should be going for it. The Vikings think they have a chance. They added Josh Dobbs, got him out of Arizona. I'm all for it. If you think you have a chance at it, go for it, especially if you're in a horrible division like the Vikings are. Why not take a chance? Chargers, I just don't think are as close as some of these other teams. The NFC is so weak. If I was in the NFC, I think I'd be in it. But if I'm in the AFC, I got to take a step back and look at what we really are. And the Chargers have bigger issues, my opinion.
If you're the NFC, do you really think you're in it? Like, I mean, don't you think in reality there are 4 teams in the NFC? Well, I should say, okay, look, I'll tell you, there are 2 teams by far that are in it. It's the Niners and the Eagles. I know the Niners haven't looked good for 3 straight weeks, but it's still the Niners. All right. When Deebo Samuel comes back, they'll be different. They should be different. Brock Purdy, they're trying to figure out what he is all of a sudden. But the Niners and Eagles are, to me, a step above Seahawks, step above. I understand the Seahawks are in first place, step above the Cowboys, step above the Lions. Do you guys agree with that?
I think the Lions and the 49ers right now are on the same level. I'd say the Eagles are the best team in the NFC. I thought Derrick Henry was actually going to go to Philadelphia, which would have been crazy because they're not high on Kenneth Gainwell. If Jalen Hurts' knee injury is actually something too, that could be a problem. But yeah, 49ers and Eagles to me are probably still the two best. The Lions are going to be the Lions at the end of the day. They got to prove it in the playoffs, just like Justin Herbert and the Chargers need to prove it in the playoffs to be considered anything.
Yeah, I think it might be clear cut. Not as fully healthy as just scary, but the CMC touches. I've said it I think I said it 2 weeks ago. I'll continue to say it. CMC is going to be really, really banged up when it comes to playoff time. And that's a really big part of your offense that you keep relying on. Just going to watch and see how that goes. I'm actually more of a believer in the Lions, I think, day by day, just because Goff does have the experience. OC is one of the best play callers in the NFL. And I swear to God, this does line up. Hear me out. This does line up for Mr. Gum chewing himself, Pete Carroll, to sneak his way to an NFC Championship. It's like the stars are like a little bit aligning for him to just kind of sneak his way in there. And you're just going, how the hell did he do it?
If I'm a Lions fan,
pretty bad.
I'm not so sure what my team is. And I understand the record looks good and they're beating up on the teams they're supposed to. But that game against the Ravens, I think it's a huge eye-opener to go, how good are we?
Yeah. I mean, that's my point about the AFC and the NFC, right? The Ravens are a team that
the Lions didn't get a first down until the second half in that game.
Yeah. The Chargers got the Ravens coming up in a few weeks. So if you had to give me like your top 5 in the NFL, what would it be? How many would be NFC? How many would be AFC?
Go ahead, Mario. I got it. You caught me off guard on this.
Yeah.
I'll go first. Okay.
All right.
I'm going to go
in my head too. Go ahead.
All right. I'm going to go number 1 team in the NFL. I'm going to go Philadelphia Eagles. From top to bottom, I think they're the best team in the league. They really don't have that many weaknesses, if any at all. A.J. Brown is a man on a mission right now. He looks like the best receiver in the league. Number 2, I'll go Miami Dolphins. I know the Dolphins just lost to the Eagles. I think the Dolphins are still a team that nobody wants to mess with. They scored 30 points again, beat Bill Belichick again. Tua has more wins against Bill Belichick than any other quarterback in NFL history, I believe.
6-0.
6-0. Pretty remarkable. 3rd, I'll go the Kansas City Chiefs. As long as Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce are on the same team, they got to be in the top 5. Number 4, I'm going to go Cincinnati Bengals. I think the Bengals are on the rise to possibly be the best team in the AFC, especially if Joe Burrow's healthy. He could be the best quarterback in the NFL. And then 5th, I'll go 49ers, just for all the reasons we said. Roster stacked. If Brock Purdy can figure it out, they can get Deebo Samuel back. It's a team that nobody wants to play. Looking out on the top 5, though, honorable mentions, I'll go Lions and Ravens.
All right, hold on. Martin, let me go first because I didn't write anything down. I can see you writing because I'll forget. All right, that's the way my old brain works. I'm going to go Eagles 1. I'm going to go Dolphins 2. I'm going to go Chiefs 3, Bengals 4, Ravens 5. So I have 4 AFC teams, Josh.
So you have the same thing I have, except you switched number 5 to the Ravens and you kicked out the 49ers. You just told me the 49ers were the real deal. Which one is it?
I think the 49ers are the real deal. But right now, today, the Niners have lost 3 games in a row. It's pretty hard to do in the NFL.
All right. What do you got, Mario?
Dude, I have such an issue with the Ravens. I don't know why.
Dude, I knew it.
I can't take them legit. I can't take them seriously.
What you were going to say, Knicks, I would have said exactly what you said.
I know. I can't take them seriously.
Dude, you hate the Ravens.
I need to go to therapy for it, I think.
Dude, like literally you do.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. You just
I almost put on my top.
Have you ever been to Baltimore? Have you ever been to Baltimore?
No, but I've seen The Wire. Pretty much. All right. I think clear cut. Yeah. Clear cut number 1 for me is Eagles. I don't think that's up for debate at all. It's Eagles. They're 7-1. I mean, they're complete on both sides of the football. 2, I still put the Chiefs because I think a fully healthy Mahomes wins at Mile High. I don't think they lose 24-9. And I think at one point, Andy Reid's going to look at Matt Nagy, smack him around, and go, "You're going to lose privileges." He's going to be put in timeout, and then they're really going to take off. At 3, I have Dolphins. Jalen Ramsey is getting back in the mix with them, and Vic Fangio is going to start making very creative ways to use Ramsey. And that defense is going to start getting very, very creative. I think that's where the Dolphins are really going to start executing and become a better team in the league. Obviously, that offense is phenomenal. But I have them at 3. 4, I put the Niners. Just for the sole reason, as soon as I don't need to say Debo, but I'm biggest Trent Williams. But as soon as Trent Williams is there, I think they're fine. And it's also Shanahan. Shanahan does this where he'll have a 500 football team and hit playoffs and they're in the freaking NFC Championship. Like Shanahan does this. 5. They're the red hot team. Big win against the Niners this past week. I still have Bengals. The reason why I put them at 5 and not over the Niners is just because let's see one more good win. And I think they have the Bills this week, if I'm wrong, right? So they have the Bills this week. If they get that one more win, and Dolphins lose, they probably go up 3. But I love what I've seen in the Bengals. They're my Super Bowl pick for the year. I have them at 5. Just want to see one more good win. One more good win. One more on the resume, baby. And you'll get bumped up there, Joe.
Where would you put the Chargers in your power rankings, Mario?
At the top of my head, like the first one that came to my head was like 10.
10. It's pretty high.
First thing that came to my head.
I was thinking somewhere between like 11 and 15. Somewhere in there.
Really?
Well, because I would take them. Okay, so like after this, you said, so you probably have Ravens, and then so you have Ravens, Lions, Jags, which we'd all take. Yeah. Bills.
Cowboys.
Seahawks.
Cowboys. 4. I would take them over the Seahawks. So that's where I go at 10.
Okay.
But I think it's a strong argument for Seahawks. There's a very strong argument.
You put the Bills over the Chargers too? Do you include them?
Yes. I'll take the Bills over the Chargers.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. All right. Since we don't have a lot of time left, but let's look at the Chargers schedule the remainder of the way. Let's see if we can predict what the record's going to be. Mario, I'll let you lead.
I've already screwed this up tremendously.
All right. We'll do quick week 9 because we're going to break that down more tomorrow, and make sure you check out Bold City and subscribe so you get alert when we have a new show. So quickly, week 9, we'll just do a quick before we hit it tomorrow. Does that work?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I have a quick win.
Yeah. A win.
Just win or loss. I'll go win.
All right. Next one. Again, save it for tomorrow. So tune in for the week 9 full breakdown of what we think happens. Week 10, Lions in Detroit. No, I'm sorry, at home, not at Detroit.
Loss. Our defense can't keep up with them.
Loss.
Yeah, I think it's a loss. By the way, I'm going to have so much fun making out with that over. Holy hell. I'm already excited about it. All right. So that's win, loss. Packers at Green Bay. Jordan Love sucks.
Dude, it's a win, and Jordan Love is the worst quarterback in the league. Him and Desmond Ridder, man. Dude, holy hell.
That's exactly what I said. Those two guys.
Yeah, you did call that.
In there.
You did.
Yeah, those were the 3.
You did call
All right, I say win. At the beginning of the year, Mario, you said Chargers lose that game. You change your mind?
I did change my mind. Jordan Love's really bad, and turns out that Matt LaFleur left a option to change the play for Aaron Rodgers every single play when he was there because Rodgers did. Because that play calling's freaking horrendous. This is a game I thought before the year would be an easier win because I thought they'd make a mistake, but now I'm really eating words. Week 12, Ravens.
Loss.
Like bad loss.
You think bad loss?
Dude, you put
I don't know
Lamar
what
Jackson.
happened.
You put Lamar Jackson on the run outside the pocket. Dude, the Chargers are the worst at containing guys, and they get outside the pocket and kill us. Dude, Lamar Jackson, if he gets outside the pocket, which he will, it's going to get ugly. And our DBs cannot keep up with them.
Yeah. Let's point this out in Mario's argument's sake. Mario, I'm going to defend you right here.
Okay.
How about Lamar Jackson completely taken last year off because he wasn't happy with the contract situation? Completely screwed over Ravens fans for one full season.
Yeah.
I mean, look at him. When he has money and he's under control, he's fantastic. I mean, he's the MVP leader right now.
He's opposite Deshaun Watson.
MVP leader?
Who do you think's the MVP of the league right now?
Mahomes, by far. How? I do not know way in hell it's Lamar.
I say it's Lamar.
What is it? What's that? He doesn't lead in anything.
I'm telling you, I'm going. Josh has the numbers better than I do. We'll talk about it tomorrow if you want, but I'm telling you, Lamar Jackson's the MVP right now.
Oh, we could talk about it, big guy. I'm going to come after you a little bit because
he just told you Mahomes' numbers and Russell Wilson's numbers are the same.
Hey, Tua leads the league in yards and touchdowns.
Yeah,
I think if you had to give the MVP to a player, I don't even think it'd be a quarterback. I think you give it to Tyreek Hill. Dude's ridiculous every week.
It's true. It is ridiculous. Dude, he is. He's ridiculous.
Quarterbacks
ridiculous every week.
Quarterbacks that have more passing yards than Lamar Jackson right now. That's not an everything stat, but still. Stafford, Purdy, Lawrence, Carr, Herbert, Stroud.
Okay, let's look at the records. I mean, he's getting wins.
Okay, I'll give you that. We're gonna debate this tomorrow. I'm coming after you. Like, I don't know.
Go ahead.
Know. Yeah.
Go. All right, I'm wide open. I'm not going to do my homework, so go ahead.
All right. Funny enough, guys, I think I'm gonna stick to my hater guns of the Ravens. I'll go win. Week 13, Patriots at Patriots. JC
Win.
Jackson revenge game.
Win.
Win.
That team
I hope they
sucks.
pick on J.C. Jackson nonstop in that game.
If they have any heart, they will.
They will.
Seriously, after what he did to them, you got to pick
Yeah.
on him. I can't wait for that.
Loss.
What did you just say?
I think
You said we lose to the Patriots?
dude. I have a terrible
Good
feeling.
thing you live in another city.
JC Jackson is gonna get up there on probably Wednesday because Tuesday they have off. And he's gonna tell them everything the Chargers do. Bill Belichick's gonna maximize that by like 15, and it's at home. It's gonna be cold as hell. I think probably a snow game. Could be a snow game. And I think Pats make it
I don't know if
so
that matters
unbelievably
anymore.
ugly.
What
Look
does
at the
JC
snow
Jackson
field in
know?
Denver.
What does
No, they
JC
cleared the
Jackson
field.
know that Bill Belichick doesn't?
I mean, I don't know, dude. I just Staley versus Bill and Bill's home makes me a little nervous.
Forget JC
They have
Jackson.
no
I almost
talent.
cussed.
They have the worst roster in the league.
No, I agree. I agree. They suck. They're not a good football team, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen. Chargers never play good in New England ever. So
Thank you.
yeah, you're right.
Thank you.
I still think they win. That team sucks.
Yeah, no, yeah, they blow, but I don't know. All right, week 14, Broncos at home.
Win at home. Win. Yeah, close game though, but a win.
I really hope we have some Broncos have some distractions leading into that game. That'd be cool. Week 15's at Las Vegas, primetime game.
Win.
I'll go win. Win.
I'll go win.
Chargers. There's going to be a must-win game.
I think this is a huge must-win game. This is gonna be a playoff game. Week 16 versus the Bills, primetime game in Los Angeles. Here's the thing, too. Probably by week 16, this is when the playoff picture is really heating up. Bills will be the second team in their division, probably right now as it looks, and the Chargers will be the second team in their division. So they'll be fighting for a wild card spot. So this is pretty much a wild card game right there in week 16 for the Los Angeles Chargers. So what do we have?
I think a win, and I think Justin Herbert's going to light up that defense, who's not very good. When they lost Matt Milano, their linebacker, who does everything for them, they have not looked the same. And I think the Bills' defense is already not good. Justin Herbert is going to go off in that game.
Dude, the Bills seem to lose a player every game, like for the year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking about week 16, who's left on that team? If I had to pick today, I'd pick the Bills, but I'm going by week 16. I think the Chargers might pull it out. I think the Bills just have that year where they just injury after injury, just insane.
I'm going Bills.
Okay.
But gonna be a funny game. Gonna be a funny game of which QB is gonna play worse than fourth. You know, it's Josh Allen.
Another primetime game. Yep.
Another primetime game. I don't know. Not feeling great about that one. At Broncos is
Me neither.
week 17.
Chiefs, isn't it? Wait. What did you say?
At
Week
Broncos.
Oh, you're right. At Broncos. Sorry. I tried
Yeah.
to change.
And then Chiefs after that.
Okay, they beat the Broncos.
I'm going to assume the Broncos are just tanking at that point, so I'm going to go win.
I go win as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Last one, Chiefs. At home.
Win. If it's week 18, right? Last game of the season.
Yeah, it's week 18. They probably have everything sealed up.
100% should be a win, especially if the Chiefs have it sealed up. There's no way in hell you lose that game. But it's the Chargers. I'm going to still say win.
I'll say they lose.
Really?
Mahomes probably won't even play.
You say that. We'll see.
I agree with you, Josh. And if it's a close game, like let's just say it's like 14-17 going to halftime, why would they play him at half?
They won't.
You know?
They shouldn't. Who's even the backup quarterback for the Chiefs?
It feels like it's
not Henny anymore.
Well,
Well, even to this point too, I'll go one further. So this is obviously a home game for us.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a 4:25 window. So that means there's probably a game in the 1 o'clock window where somebody won or somebody lost that would move them up. So they would have extra motivation to not play their guys. So it's like, why the hell are we even playing? And they're going to pay attention to that. No coach that ever says, we're just going to focus on us. That's the biggest lie in America. They do not do that. Like if the team loses that they need to lose, they know that, and they're not going to play their guys in their game.
Yeah, it's going to be Blaine Gabbert versus the Chargers, and I like that matchup.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mario, do you have the records? What we just chose?
I mean, can I count them out?
1, 2. Count all you
I
want.
think I picked two losses. Is what I picked.
I think
Yeah,
I
you
went.
picked 2 losses.
I think I picked 3.
Dave, you had 3. I had 1, 2, 3. I had 3.
Okay.
Rest of the way.
All right. Good deal.
Good deal.
See how it goes. We'll see how it
See how
goes.
it goes. You better get
Yeah, we
ready
didn't
for your
do great.
MVP argument tomorrow, pal.
All right. Good deal. All
Yeah.
right. If you had a bet right now, would you take Mahomes or the field?
Field.
Okay. Me too.
Well, let me look at it right now. They're good friends at BetMGM because he was because Burrow has been catching a lot. Burrow got like a big jump after this past weekend.
Whoever wins between the Chiefs and Dolphins this weekend should be the MVP favorite.
I agree.
Offensive, not comeback, even though comeback's pretty much decided. All right, give me a second.
Who's a comeback player of the year?
Hamlin.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, so right now, yeah. I mean, dude, if he gets like a pick or like a tackle, it's over. All right, MVP right now, Mahomes plus 300, Hurts plus 350, Tua plus 350, Lamar plus 600, Allen 13-1, Burrow 18-1, Trevor Lawrence 18-1.
Where's my guy, Justin Herbert?
He is behind Brock Purdy, McCaffrey, Goff, Prescott, Hill.
All right.
And you get him at 50-1.
Great. Okay.
Yep.
That's
depressing.
Ways to go for Buddy.
There you go. All right. Damn it. We finished that on a depressing note. All right. But we're going to be back tomorrow, right? Making our predictions, everything that goes into it. We'll be good to go. All right. So leave your comments on YouTube. We'll address them. When our feelings are hurt, we'll definitely address them and get the last word like we always do. Again, you can watch on YouTube. You can sit there. You can listen to the Odyssey app. Again, the Bolt City podcast. Appreciate you guys doing that. And subscribers, again, we're trying to get to that magic number, right? We're going shirts off. Is that the deal that Mario put out there?
Yeah.
Does this
shirts
last forever, this shirts off? Or is it just, I thought it was, if it didn't happen by today, we don't have to do it.
I think we should just continue it forever.
If it hits every 1,000, we go shirts off for every 1,000.
Every 1,000 we hit
that.
a layer. No, every 1,000 a layer of clothing comes off. So it's like shirt, socks, underwear, pants, whatever, until we're all naked.
I already don't have pants on right now. So I'm one step ahead.
All right. We'll be back tomorrow again for Mario Heron, Josh Ballet. I'm Dave Ballet. Thanks again for watching, listening to the Bolt City podcast.